Hello and welcome. My name's Peter. I'm the solo developer behind Growlery games, and in just 1 week, Growlery's first game, Risk and Riches, is going to come out on Steam and itch.io on March 27th, 2025. And so before the game came out, I wanted to take a step back, introduce two of the playable characters I haven't had a chance to feature yet, quickly give an overview of the last couple months of development, and discuss what the post-launch plans are going to be. So let's get to it. So there are two characters that I haven't had a chance to really feature in any great depth. And that's the Gambler and the Courtesan. And so starting with the Gambler is the third playable character I added to Risk and Riches. I added him in November, and then in January and February of this year, 2025, I was able to go back, test him some more, and really balance him out. He quickly became my favorite. Which is interesting because during playtesting, the feedback I was getting from players is that he felt underpowered, consistently the hardest character to play. I went back, I rebalanced him, adding, making some of his cards a little bit more powerful, making a few of his cards a little cheaper. I'm a little nervous that maybe I overcompensated a bit, and now he might be a little too strong. But I think he's just about right. I think he's where he needs to be. His kit all revolves around drawing additional cards. So he has a lot of cards that allow him to draw more cards, sometimes for free. Some of them cost money. Not money, energy. He also can play out of his discard pile, exhaust pile, and even his banish pile, which makes him unique to the other characters. And combos, his card combos, are by far the most complex. Some of his cards have prerequisites, so you have to play certain cards, certain numbers of cards, before you're able to play his bigger moves, or in order to do more strategic maneuvers, we'll say, you need to have the right cards available in order to play something in a certain way. I won't give it away, but he's got a few cards that you need to have everything line up perfectly in order for it to work. And so he does take some more patience to play than some the other characters, but it can be with a big payoff. If you think about what he's doing, even more so than with the other characters, then you're able to not only put up a big offense and do a lot of damage in a single turn, you can also put up a good defense, which is something that is what makes him, once you understand how to play him better, makes him feel a little overpowered, because he doesn't have to choose between offense or defense. He's able to get them both at the same time. And so it does take patience, a little bit more forethought than the other characters, but in the end, it pays off. I think a lot of people who like to think about different ways of doing things will probably enjoy them the way that I do. Now, one of my favorite my favorite card is one of the Gambler's cards. It's the Chaos card, and it's not very complicated, but it's very satisfying. And so when you draw the Chaos card, it can damage or block, but it's worth nothing. It does 0 damage and 0 block. And the way you increase it is for every card that is drawn after it. So when you first are drawing your hand, if it's the first card, then it's going to be worth typically 4, but there are ways for the Gambler to have a larger hand size. If it's the last card drawn, it's going to be worth nothing. But when you use that in conjunction with his other cards that draw additional cards, or maybe even pocket it for a little bit, as long as it doesn't get discarded, it won't reset. And so you can build that up to be something pretty devastating to take out a boss in even one hit. It's a lot of fun to play once you start taking advantage of the way that his kit works. And the fourth playable character I added to Risk and Riches is the Courtesan. I first added her in December of last year, so 2024, but similar to the Gambler, I spent a good part of January and February of this year testing her and rebalancing her to get her to feel better. Unlike the Gambler, the consistent feedback I was getting about the Courtesan is that she was the easiest to play. She has some heal abilities and things, and some big attacks and big defenses too. That I can see why, particularly the heals. But you do have to get a little lucky with her bigger heals because they're banished cards and they're not ones that you can buy. So you have to get it as a reward. So I actually had to go back and nerf her instead of making her stronger like the Gambler. And so some of the cards I brought down the damage that they do. I made a couple of cards more expensive to play energy-wise. And her whole kit revolves around equipment and the bleed status. So the equipment is probably the part that makes her has the stronger cards, the stronger defense, and the stronger attacks. But it takes a lot of upfront investment because the better, I don't want to say better, but the stronger one-hit cards, they multiply based off of how many pieces of equipment you have in your inventory. And she has certain cards that actually give you temporary pieces of equipment, either a unique thing to her called a bauble, or they copy pieces of equipment you already have in your inventory. You can buy up to 10 equipment for all the characters. So if you buy 10 for her, then get some additional temporary equipment for the turn or the encounter, and play one of those multiplying cards that's based off of the amount of equipment, it can be pretty devastating. Those cards tend to be exhaust cards, so you can only play them once. So you need to take that into account and balance her out with some more sustainable attacks and defense, so that you're not stuck in a situation where you played all your big moves and now you've got nothing and you're just sitting there, waiting to die. But the other aspect of her is revolving around the bleed status. For anybody that might know me, which I'm not expecting you necessarily to, I love vampires. And so the Courtesan was she's based off of vaudeville and burlesque dancers that were, vaudeville in particular was common during the time period that the game takes place in the late 1800s. And so, her outfit and equipment and appearance is important. And so I thought it made sense for the entertainer to also potentially be a vampire in secret. And so this is my way to slip it in there. And also, with the outfit and everything being important, that's why equipment for her, it just kind of, it made sense. Those bleed status effects, if you get enemies to have bleed applied, allows her to heal, it allows her to stun and perform a couple other abilities, and to do additional damage, and even some block based on how many characters which characters have bleed and stuff like that. So that was a way to get my infatuation with vampires in the game. Quickly now, going over just a quick overview of the last couple months of development. First week of January, the game was feature complete other than the Steam achievements. January and February was a lot of just playtesting, balancing, and bug fixes, as I already said, Courtesan and Gambler, but also many of the additional enemies that you encounter from the fourth circle of hell and beyond. I did a lot of stuff in succession at the end of 2024. And so January and February was going back, testing all that, and for bug fixes and balancing. That was the majority of the time. I also did a little bit of polish, so some simple lighting. I've talked about this in a past video, I believe already, but you're in a dark mine, so I added some shadowing, added some very simple point lights to give some more atmosphere in that regard. I added and improved animations for many of the enemies, most notably adding the borrowing animations for the Deathworm and the Howl Summon move for the Direwolf, which they're both the first floor bosses that you could encounter. You'll only get one of them. You won't get them both in the same run, but they alternate. So you'll get one or the other will likely be the first boss you see. The Deathworm one in particular, adding the borrowing animation was a pretty big improvement, because before that he would just blink out of existence to let you know, hey, he's not targetable right now. Now that's communicated a lot better with the borrowing animation. Most players got it anyways, but it's much clearer now than previously. Another thing I did was adding additional assets for icons, for either icons or making sure that the effects of abilities that would persist for a full turn or for an entire encounter were being communicated. So if it's something that will last an encounter or a turn, you'll get an icon underneath the health bar of either the affected enemy or underneath the player to let you know that that's still an ongoing thing. If it is specific to certain cards, then I might just have it displayed directly on the card. For instance, the Gunslinger has the dual wield card, which multiplies the damage and effects that a single shot card does, and so there's no icon for that. It just, if you have a single shot card, it just shows you what the new values are with that taken into account. And then when that turn is over, because that effect only lasts a turn, the single shot values will reset to whatever their new values are, because they could be affected by multiple cards at once. So adding that, as well as adding some additional assets to the town, so like railroad tracks, making sure the roads are all popping up and connecting properly as you build upgrades, housing, cemetery, things like that, to make fill out the town and make it feel a little bit more alive. Accessibility options, I made it so you can switch between the custom cursor and your system cursor, in case the custom cursor is difficult for you to see. Key rebinds, which it's an accessibility option, but it's something that most players expect to see in games nowadays, and so that's in there. That took a little extra time because I had to redo how I saved the player settings to get that to work nicely. And make it backwards compatible, so that if you were on an old save settings file, it will transfer to the new config file and then delete the old one, so that you don't have it just sitting around doing nothing. And now that I know how to do that in future games, I'll do it what I'll consider the right way from the beginning, and not have to do that rework. Steam Achievements was the one thing that wasn't ready at the beginning of the year. I waited to do it until towards the end, which I won't do again. I was thinking it would be somewhat complicated. It was actually very easy to do. I might do a future video talking about it in greater detail, but I want to try and keep these videos shorter, so I won't do it right now. I used the Steam backend was very simple to do for it, and I used Godot Steam, which was documentation a little bit to be desired, but with a little bit of experimentation, it was up and running and extremely easy to implement. One complication that the Steam Achievements did create, though, is because I'm also releasing on itch, is the itch version, since it doesn't have the accomplishments. There's a building that the only reason to build it is to get the accomplishment. It's the very last building, and it's just like right, I've done everything, sort of a moment, like you build it and I've accomplished everything I have to do in the core game. You can then go on to New Game Plus, but in the core game, this is kind of the crowning moment. And since there's no Steam achievements in the itch version, I made a special little pop-up that pops up only in the non-Steam version to compensate for that. So that was a little something extra I had to do as well. I also added a credit screen and removed the wish list buttons from the full versions. Obviously, I didn't need them. And changed the feedback and bug report to just bug report because the game is done at this point. The builds are all ready to go. The demo build is already up with the most current code for the 1.0 release. The Steam 1.0 release is up, and YouTubers and streamers have access to it that I've sent codes to already. I just gotta hit the publish button on March 27th. And the itch version, I could put it up and hide it, but instead I just have it built and parked on my desktop, so hopefully it doesn't brick before the 27th. And just on the 27th, shortly before noon, I will put it up on itch as well. But yeah, everything's ready to go. I'm not messing with the builds right now because I don't want to break anything ahead of release. As far as I know, everything is working. I've tested them all. So fingers crossed, we'll be good to go on March 27th at noon or shortly before noon on Eastern Time in the United States. Post-launch plans. So I'm not going to just drop the 1.0 out there and then wash my hands of it and walk away. I'm gonna be a good dev. I'm gonna maintain the game for at least a year, so at least until March 2026. Any bugs that are popping up, I will address or do my best to address. If they're equipment specific, there may be reasons why I can't necessarily do it, but I'm gonna try and fix every bug that's encountered. Right now, to my knowledge, there are no game-breaking bugs. The only bug that I'm aware of is a small one where in New Game Plus, I'm not using the modified cost of the buildings because the buildings become more expensive in the New Game Plus mode. And so I'm not disabling a button to purchase them. You can't purchase them. If you click on it, it does nothing because then it checks the correct amount and says, oh, you don't have enough. But I'm not disabling that button. So it looks like you can purchase it, but you can't. That's the only bug that I'm aware of right now that I have already fixed. I just haven't put it in the 1.0 build because I don't want to mess with them right now. So that will come out shortly after in a patch, along with based on some recent feedback, I'm going to add a floor count to the top bar in the UI when you're in the mine. So we'll say one of 4 floors or 2 of 4, whatever floor you're on, right? Of 4, to better let new players know how deep you are. If you've played for a bit, then you're probably never even going to look at it. But for new players, to give them a bit more information. Also, try and find a better way to indicate that you don't have to drop the self-targeting cards, so like brace or heal, onto the player character, and you don't have to drop target all cards onto an enemy. You can just drag them into the play area and release them into an empty area on the play area, to clarify a little bit, because you can't take a brace card and drop it on an enemy. It won't do anything, but if you put it in an empty space or onto the player, then it will, because some people have asked for that feature and it is in the game already. So obviously what I'm doing to try and communicate that isn't enough, at least it doesn't pop enough. There's these little triangles that pop up around the frame of the character that's going to be affected when you drag the card up into the play area. But like I said, multiple people have asked for the feature, and it is already in the game. So I need to find a way to make that more obvious. And so, will it be a perfect solution? I don't know, but I'm going to do something to help with that. So those will be included in a patch shortly after, probably a couple weeks after the release, because I'll also include any bugs that people are running into in that first week. Hopefully there are none, but when there's an influx of hundreds, hopefully thousands, but an influx of hundreds of players playing the game, likely they're going to run into something because they're playing in a different way than the testers and myself have played, or because they're on certain machines or whatever it may be. There could be some bugs that pop up. So those three, that bug fix and those two little communication improvements, along with any other bug fixes that I can get done quickly after launch, will come out probably a couple weeks afterwards. The other thing I want to say is I will be doing one free content update. I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. There was one idea put out there, and it's a great idea, but after thinking about it, I think that there's too many complications with it because of the way that the game is set up, both with the save file and with the way that I handle the global game deck. It was put out by Crisp44S, which I'll link the video for him. He played the game during Next Fest, and mentioned, it would be nice to have different loadouts for the different characters, so that you could experiment with different ways to play them. It's a fantastic idea, but I think it might be too big of a lift, which is kind of a bad thing to say, but it might be too much for the free content update. I need to be realistic about how much time it's going to cost, how much time it's going to take, because I do need to spend more time on my next game. And while Risk and Riches is going to do better than many games as my first commercial release as a solo dev, it's not going to do well enough to justify spending a large amount of time on a content update. Whatever the content update ends up being, it will be meaningful. I'm not just gonna do something stupid just to say I did it. At the very least, it might be new cards, new enemies. It won't just be, I added a couple new houses that pop up in town as you're building things, as an example of what a stupid update would be. It will be something that is worth potentially checking out. We'll add something to the game. That's what I got for this one. I am trying to get my videos down to like 15 to 20 minutes. This one probably went longer as usual, but when you only do one a month, that's what happens. My name's Peter. I'm the solo developer behind Growlery Games. Risk and Riches comes out March 27th at noon Eastern Time. If you're into deck builders, definitely check it out, and I will see you in the next one.